tips and details to help you to make sure you're clear for this assignment. I'm expecting you to finish this up today, Tuesday. You'll have a new assessment activity that's going to come beginning next class for the rest of the week, and it'll be based on these same skills. So if you need some additional help, hopefully this tutorial will help you. The main task is here on screen 8, where your job is to reproduce this figure by entering all the commands. On screen 9, you don't have to do anything, except I want you to notice that I can use related skills to be able to create a scalable version of this object. That's not something that you have to do, just to know that it's available. And if you'd like some information about that, I'd be happy to show you. And also on screen 10, in addition to the blue dot, which resizes, we also have this red dot that I can use to move the object. So there's a lot of sophistication available with Desmos. But what I want you to do is practice your skills of building the polygon box and then drawing these line segments matching these given equations. One way to approach this is just to think about how many line segments there are, and you could count them, and if I counted correctly, I think there's a total of 16 line segments inside the box. So one approach would just be to set up the box using the skills on screen 3 or 4, and then use 16 different equations to match these lines. What I'd like to go ahead and do is show you a technique that could be useful to doing this. And I have it here where essentially you can see a vertical line, a horizontal line, and 2 slanted lines. And I've put the coordinates of these two of the points that I think of as the origin of the slanted lines, and I'm going to be using that method. So the first thing I want to mention to you is we're going to be making a reference to the formula that I gave you in the notes that looks like y equals m times x minus h plus k. And this is the equation format that we will be using to make our lines. The next thing I want you to recognize is in this equation, the point that sort of governs where we make our lines is the point whose coordinates are h and k. And so when I make this slanted line right here, I'll be using 2, 4 as my h and k. When I use this line right here, I'll be using 3 and 2 as my h and k. I'm also going to review how you can make horizontal lines and also vertical lines, and we'll talk about how you can bound these lines so that they only graph the portions you want. So let's start right here with the horizontal line. I can see that the horizontal line up here travels at a height of 7. All the points on this line have a height of 7, and the equation of that line therefore is y equals 7. You can see that that takes the line and brings it all the way through the entire graphic. I only want that to start here at 1, 7 and end over here at 8, 7. So I'm going to add a bounding condition. I do that with a squiggle braces that says start at 1. This is a boundary on the x values and go until 8. And you'll notice how that has accomplished my goal. Next, I'll focus on this vertical line. This vertical line travels here at 1, and you can see all the points on this line have an x coordinate of 1. So the equation for that is x equals 1. Now, I like to go ahead sometimes and just copy, duplicate it, and then just make some changes. That way, a lot of the formatting is preserved, and I don't have to start over from scratch. So x equals 1 creates this line. This time I want to bound it from top to bottom, so I'm going to make a boundary on the y variable. And I want it to start down here at 2 and come up to 7, so my boundaries go, y's are between 2 and 7. Next, I'm going to move on to this slanted line right here, the one that starts at 2, 4 and ends over here at, looks like 8, 7. And this is where I'm going to enter the equation that I saw above, y equals m times x minus h plus k. And in the past, I have told you that you can just add a slider for each. Here I'm giving you a little bit more detail that this point 2, 4 that I can see really represents the h and k values. So I'll replace h with 2 and k with 4. And now when I add a slider for m, all I need to do is bend that slider until it matches up with that line. And that will help me find the slope. If you can tell the slope just by looking at it, you can just put that equation in there, or that value in there as well. But in this particular case, I was able to see that m equals 0.5, and I got that by using the slider. So I'll put that 0.5 in there, and now notice I don't need this anymore, and now I have a line. I like to keep my colors red for this one, and I want that line segment to start here. Notice when I turn it off, here at 2, 4, and end up here at 8, 7. So just like I did above, I can put a boundary condition on this line. If I bound the x's, then I'd be using the x coordinates of 2 over to 8. And when I turn this back on, you should see that the line segment lives where I want it to. I'm going to repeat this process for this last segment. So I will do the same thing. I'll put in my generic equation, x minus h plus k. And this time I'm using 3, 2 as my h and k. So as I did before, I'll put in 3 and 2. I can add a slider, and I'm going to slide this around until it lines up. That looks good. So 2.5 is my slope, 2.5. I'm going to put that back to red as well. Now I don't need this any longer, and I just want to bound it. I could bound it with the x's going from 3 to, what is that? It looks like 5. Or I'll actually go ahead and do that. 3 to 5 should do it. And just for fun, I'm going to also show you this idea, what I referred to yesterday as a double boundary condition. I could also add a boundary condition for my y's. It's not necessary. You can see that I've already bounded the line. But in the case of our other activity where we want to stay within a box, you could use a boundary condition for all of your equations based on the size of this box. And then I don't actually have to spend time thinking about what it is. Every line segment in this diagram starts on the left edge or the bottom edge and extends to the right edge or the top edge. So putting a double boundary condition just makes sure that nothing exceeds the box. Here I'll use the double boundary condition starting at 2 and coming up to 7. So notice if I, oops, let's put that back. If I don't have this condition, the line still looks good. And if I put it in but remove the other condition, the same thing is true. And if I have both, it's sort of like double protection. It's making sure that the x's and y's are conforming. So think about the skills useful here. I've got the equation of a horizontal line with a boundary condition on its x values. Here's the equation of a vertical line with a boundary condition on its y values. And for my slanted lines, I used my generic equation where h and k were points I know, and then I put either a single boundary condition or a double boundary condition to make sure that the line begins and ends where I want it to. So finally, I just wanted to mention that as you're thinking about the complexity of this diagram, you actually have the skills back beginning on screen 5. Think about how this shows us 3 bounded lines, all beginning from the point 0, 0. And so I can use the equation y equals m times x minus h plus k. And if I remember that k is 0 and h is 0, then I end up getting all of these possible lines. And you probably noticed in the past we didn't bother to write this 0, and we didn't bother to write that 0, and we probably didn't even use the parentheses. And the result is the same. But it certainly doesn't hurt if you want to use the more generic format, minus 0 plus 0. It works just as well. On screen 6, we can do the same thing, noticing that all of the lines originate here from 0, 1. And so we could set up the equation y equals m times x minus h plus k, where h is 0 and k is 1. And now you can notice that as we bend our slopes, they always start from that point. And similarly on screen 7, all of the lines begin here at 1, 0. So following a similar approach, x minus h plus k, where h is 1 and k is 0, I can essentially get the same thing. Notice that with positive and negative slopes, I can match these. The only one I won't be able to get is that vertical piece, and I'll have to follow the idea of the vertical line that we did here on this screen to match it. So my suggestion, finally, as you think about the image on 8 that you need to reproduce today, is think about the lines that emerge from the point 0, 0, the lines that emerge from the point 0, 4, the lines that emerge from the point 0, 8, the lines that emerge from 4, 0 or from 8, 0, and maybe that's all the lines you have. I suppose you could think about emerging from these other points if you wanted to. All right, good luck. Email me if you have any questions. Try to get this wrapped up today because next class you will definitely have a new task to work on.